Welcome back, guys. Had a little hiatus here from the Cash It Pod episodes, but we are back and going to be back through the rest of the NBA season and, of course, MLB, which is a few weeks away now. But hey, things have been running hot. Hopefully you guys have been keeping up with everything on Instagram, YouTube as well. And then just for the members, I mean, you guys know 61% February, 42 and 27, picking up right there in March as well. And John, I mean, got to be feeling good, running pretty hot. Nice couple days to start March as well.
Yeah, we did the same thing last year after All-Star break. Just a great time of the year. I get a real good feel for the teams that are going for it, who's improved, who's packing it in, who's playing for lottery balls. And just let me get this up the top. Excuse the voice. And it's not going to be its usual self. But, yeah, we crushed it coming out of NBA All-Star break last year. And we're on our way to doing so this year. Off to a hot start. For the guys that don't know, tonight's Thursday night. We're shooting this, going to release this podcast Friday morning. Nobody can do what we do here. We're gonna run down tomorrow's NBA card tonight. How do you do this, John? Here, we sent out on Tuesday afternoon 2 bets for last night's games.
Yep.
So 2 bets Tuesday for Wednesday night's games. Not only did the injuries break horribly against us, we went with Philadelphia in a home-and-home series, back end of the home-and-home series with Miami. Second leading scorer in the NBA, Embiid, winds up missing. Now, he hadn't missed the game since January 21st. They listed him questionable just about every game. So it just happens that he misses last night's game. He misses, no problem. Philly, 23-point blowout in Miami. We give out New Orleans Pelicans also Tuesday afternoon. Valanciunas is going to sit for the Pelicans. And out of nowhere, Anthony Simons, who supposedly had a 4 to 6 week ankle injury, comes back after just 2 weeks and plays. He was rusty and then wound up re-injuring the ankle. But that injury broke against us also, and Pelicans go on to a double-digit victory in Portland. 2 games, 35 or so hours before tip-off, 2 outright winners. And that's what I can do that nobody can do. That's why I call myself a handicapper. You know, I laugh at these kids out there, especially on Instagram, claim they're some kind of capper. They're not. They're suckers, and you're a bigger sucker if you pay them. They're guessing, or they're waiting for sharp guys like us to bet, watch the line where the line moves, and then go bet the hot side, while we are already taking the lead betting those games. So this is what we can provide for you. That's why we're going to give you a rundown tonight, Thursday, for Friday's games, and you see how close we come to the right sides. Again, a day and a half ahead of time.
Yeah, guys, getting ahead on the lines, it's multiple things. One, it's getting ahead of the number like John mentioned. Also, I mean, having an understanding of what's coming ahead in the next day or two in the schedule helps you have a better understanding about today's cards, today's matchup, because it's not just us who are looking days ahead at multiple games coming up on the schedule. Players are also looking up at multiple heads and games coming up on the schedule. Like John said, it's Thursday, so we have 4 games going on tonight. We have 2 bets. Obviously, you guys won't see this until Friday, but we'll just go over those briefly. One of those bets is a side in the late game with the Warriors plus the 4. Clippers at Golden State going in that matchup. And it's just Golden State who's been taking care of business at home. Clippers have been playing multiple overtime games. Have had a rough go of it since the deadline. They traded away both point guards. They get in Russell Westbrook. It's been a decent fit, but playing a lot of minutes, a lot of close games, and now going at Golden State lane 4. It's a lot of points there, and Zubac Moore is questionable. We'll see what ends up going with them. Golden State, they've taken care of business in the matchup at home, and just quite frankly, all season, they've been a top 5 home team in the NBA. And the other one's a total, and the total's been treating us pretty well so far since the All-Star break, even a little bit beforehand as well. Yesterday, totals didn't go our way, but this one is with this Toronto and Washington game. You have a lot of under trends there, and that total we got in at under 224. That line down to 222 last time I checked. I don't know if that's dropped any further. And that's just part of it, guys. A lot of these games, like John said, we get ahead of the line It's all about beating the number and getting an edge going into the game. And these totals, we've been beating them 2, 3, 4 points a lot going in throughout this week. That's another one we beat there by a couple of points. So a couple of bets going in on this Thursday card. We'll see how those end up treating us. You guys will know when you're watching this tomorrow. And John, we can get into this Friday card. We're
Let me just jump into the
Go ahead.
Clipper Golden State, because it kind of fits in what we're talking about. Clippers play tomorrow, and they play at Sacramento.
Yep.
Just last week, Sacramento came into LA, and they beat the Clippers in a double overtime game. So this is part of what we're saying, looking at the schedule ahead of time.
Exactly.
So knowing that they have this game tomorrow, and once they announced Zubac and Morris, 2 starters, they're 4 and they're 5, questionable. Zubac, you got to remember, he missed the 2 games before coming back last game with a calf injury. Chances are he's not going to play back-to-back. Looks like he'll be sitting out tonight. Morris, more of the same. You know Kawhi's going to sit. He's going to sit tomorrow if he plays tonight. So it looks like they may be sitting couple of guys tonight. That could be Zubac and Morris. As soon as they became questionable, +4 was a take. Again, because we're looking ahead to what they have coming down the road. And that's how we do a lot of the bets. You're not only looking at tonight, as Ben said, we're looking ahead. Some games we talk about are look ahead. That's because the players are looking ahead to them. Perfect example. We're going to actually a couple of perfect examples, but one we'll talk about when we get there would be the Cleveland Cavs, Detroit Pistons. Excuse me. That's actually Saturday's game. Cleveland just coming off a loss at Boston. They get Detroit Pistons, who they've absolutely dominated this season. Who do they get next? They get the Celtics coming into Cleveland. So, again, are they getting up for Detroit, the team they dominate? Mitchell actually pulled a groin last night. He played through the rest of the game. As a matter of fact, he played because he didn't want to come out for the fear that the groin would tighten up if he sat out. So he played the whole game. Again, will they get up for the Pistons? Probably not. They'll probably get up. There'll probably be a look ahead for the Celtics coming in next. Another game we'll talk about with a look ahead. Boston gets the Nets tomorrow. They just beat the Celtics. They have dominated the Nets. They've beaten them 10 straight, 9-1 against the spread. What do they do next? They have the Knicks come in on Sunday, who they just were at the Garden, and Knicks put it down on them, beat them by 15. So this is what we talk about, look ahead. Why do we look ahead? Because the players look ahead. We talk about putting a circle around a game because the players do and the coaches do. And we'll talk more about that. So, yeah, Ben, why don't you pick up, and then we'll jump into tomorrow's card.
Yeah, you mentioned that look ahead there with Cleveland and the rematch with Boston. I mean, even a game we have going on tomorrow with Grizzlies at Denver. You had them who played last week, and then you had Memphis playing at Houston, which they actually get the win and the cover on the double-digit number last night. But nonetheless, it's still one of those situations where they're going to be looking a bit more at that game up ahead. And similar to the Cavs situation, sometimes it's just those bottom-tier teams, Pistons, Spurs, Rockets. Doesn't matter. There's a look ahead. They just can't compete anyways. But
all part of how we look at the game. These look-aheads, bounce-backs, revenge, playoff revenge. You just don't say this team's better. They should beat them. There's just so many factors that come in. One of the factors, we're going to talk about a game that I absolutely love tomorrow, and that's Portland, Atlanta. And it's just a rest issue. You've got one team, Portland, that'll be playing their third game in their third city in 4 days. And I'm talking about Golden State, Portland, and then all the way southeast to Atlanta while the Hawks have had a couple of days off. Big edge for them. We'll go more into it. But again, we look at every angle, not just, well, the Suns are better than Charlotte. I mean, that's easy. But that's what some of these guys do out there. We go in a little more depth. Why don't we get started, Ben, and we'll talk about it as we go through the card.
Yeah, first game on the card here is Magic at Charlotte. Now, this Charlotte team, they were playing really well this last stretch of games. They get that Phoenix team, Suns, who just owned them, took care of business, get the cover. And LaMelo Ball goes down. So he's been in and out all season long. Some of their better stretches they have had has been with him in the lineup. Obviously, he's the best player. So tough to get going here with this Charlotte team. Magic, they're coming off a loss against Milwaukee, who just absolutely owns them. They split 4 games, 1-3 against the spread since the All-Star break. Charlotte's up there in the bottom 5 as far as against the spread at home this season. You have PJ Washington currently listed questionable. For me, this would be a slight lean to Orlando. I just don't want any part of the Charlotte team without LaMelo Ball. Usually takes a couple of games, especially someone like that who's not just the key scorer, but also playmaking. I mean, that's just someone who gets a lot going for them offensively. Want to compare him similarly to someone like Tyrese Halliburton for Indiana, who also just does so much for them offensively. Their just production completely drops off, and they're down there in the bottom as far as field goal percentage. So they need every bit of LaMelo Ball as possible. Would lean here to Orlando, not loving it, not loving how they've looked since the All-Star break. Just absolutely want no part of Charlotte right now.
Yeah, Orlando 2-2, straight up 1-3 against the spread in 4 games since the All-Star break. They won the last game, the last meeting, February 5th at Charlotte by 6 points. Just don't want to be laying points with them here, as bad as Charlotte is without Ball. They just had found their footing, found a little groove. They got Kelly Oubre Jr. back. Hayward's starting to play a little better since he was injured for a good part earlier in the season. And Ball goes down with the fractured foot. Real bad break for them. PJ Washington, more doubtful and questionable. I expect him to miss another game. Want no part of Charlotte either, but also don't want nothing to do with Magic on the road. Only one number I see on this game is DraftKings got 4, and that would be too high for me, but that's not a real solid number. No other sportsbook has got it up at this point in time.
Yeah, important to note with Charlotte guys also moving forward. I mean, they're in this bottom 4 right there with Detroit, San Antonio, and Houston. And obviously, one of the more highly projected number 1 picks that we've had in the last couple of years, maybe since Zion with Wembanyama. So if you're in that bottom 4 space, you're going to kind of do everything you can to keep within that bottom 3, especially for the way NBA lottery works out. John, next game here is Blazers Hawks. I know you already alluded to it a little bit. I'll let you pick off where you left off. Just a horrible travel situation we have here going on from Portland all the way to Atlanta.
Another angle that we look at, like I said, it's they're 3rd and 4, and it's West Coast to Northwest to Southeast. I mean, as much travel as you possibly do pretty much in the NBA. All that while the Hawks have been off for 2 days since blowing a 4th quarter lead at home against the Wizards. That was Quinn Snyder's first game as the Hawks coach. So give him a little time to get stuff set. Look, this team is talented. I just don't know if they should have got rid of Trae Young instead of Coach McMillan. But we're all where we're at. This is a talented team. Portland, if you guys are noticing, I've been betting against them every game. These last 2 games, we bet last night, bet Pelicans going in there. I gave that to you 35 hours ahead of time. We bet against them when they were at Golden State on Sunday, I believe that was. Or excuse me, that was Monday. Again, guys, excuse me for the voice, but Portland team at the beginning of the year, I told you guys, loved their starting 5. They're not deep. They have no bench, no depth. Got to have depth in the NBA. So that starting 5 of what was Lillard, who has just been playing out of his mind basketball, Anthony Simons, Hart, Grant, and Nurkic. Well, Nurkic's on the injured list. Hart traded to the Knicks, which since he's been traded to the Knicks, all they've done is won all 7 games, 6-1 against the spread. And Simons, who came back against the Pelicans, he wasn't supposed to come back. Supposed to be at least 4 weeks with the ankle injury. Seems to have injured it. He'll be doubtful. So a thin team, not a deep bench team, missing 3 of their 5 starters. I've got Portland rated way down now, and they're in a tough spot. 3rd and 4, like I said, coast to coast. Big spot for the Hawks. Portland beat the Hawks earlier this year in Portland. Hawks have won the last 3 meetings in Atlanta. by a combined 30 points. I love the Hawks today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. So definitely the side there is with Atlanta. I will say going to be interesting moving forward with them with Snyder. We'll see how that works out. Obviously had a success there in Utah. Portland, I mean, just really the last few seasons, whenever they've been somewhat healthy even, and when it gets to the back half of the second half of the season, they have a couple of injuries. They start to go back to this tank mode. They've just had issues. They've just been a mediocre team now for the last 3-4 years. Atlanta, as many issues as they have had, they have a lot more bright side to look up to. Great spot there. Season read looking forward. I agree with you that Portland's just definitely a team to kind of look to maybe go against. Nets Celtics, John. Next one here. You already talked about it earlier. You have Celtics, a little bit of a look ahead to that rematch with the Knicks after losing at the Garden. But
let me just jump in. But not only the Knicks, then the Cavs the following day. So going to be tough for them to get up. It was one thing when Kyrie and KD are there. No Kyrie and KD is a team they absolutely own. Going to be tough for them not to look past this game.
Absolutely. Just dominance in the matchup, 10 straight, 9-1 against the spread. Not advocating for betting Brooklyn as far as, the Boston look ahead spot. By no means. I don't want no part of the Nets in this matchup. Would need to go really high with that number. And at 10, it's definitely not high enough. So still lean to Boston, but like John mentioned, a little bit of a look ahead. Brooklyn is going to be their fourth game in 6 days. They just have not been playing good basketball since the deadline. The offense really hasn't been there. They got crushed by the Knicks, who prior to that, they owned that matchup. They have now lost 4 straight, 1-3 against the spread, losing by an average of 21 points. So definitely don't want this Nets team. Is it possible the Celtics just keep on rolling through with the look ahead? Yes, it absolutely is. Just a bit bigger of a number I would want to lay with the spot on the schedule, but no part of the Nets for me, John.
Same type of game as we talked about Memphis, Houston yesterday.
Correct.
Just a tough spot for Memphis. Coming off, they were back-to-back, coming off the Laker game with Denver next. But they're just so much better than Houston, even though it is a look ahead, still able to get past them. More of the same here with the Celtics. After the trade deadline, I thought the Nets would be a little better than they are. I like this Mikal Bridges. Dinwiddie could give him something. He's been with the Nets before. I like Cam Johnson. Claxton gives you a little date. They just don't have that superstar. And to make it in this league, you need that superstar. None of those guys is a superstar. They're all good ball players. And I thought Brooklyn would be better than they are, but they're not. They've been blown out in 2 of these 4 games. They got absolutely ambushed going into Chicago by 40-something, coming right out of the break, and then got buried by the Knicks by 24 last night. Don't want any part of the Nets, even though, like I said, could be a look at. Celtics own the series, though. Can't touch this one.
Yeah, wouldn't want to get involved. This next one we've talked about, Knicks at Miami. Now, this Knicks team red dead hot since the All-Star break. They've won 7 straight, 6-0-1 against the spread. Playing good offense, better defense, but in this last game against Brooklyn, put up 142 on them. And then you have this Miami team who's just kind of been difficult to read all season long. They go and they split that series with the Sixers. They win at Philly, lose at home, even though Embiid doesn't play. They are the worst against the spread home team in the NBA. So with that, the Knicks are the best road team against the spread in the NBA. They're red hot right now. This is lining up here for a play for the Knicks in my eyes. Would be Knicks or nobody. I haven't wanted any part of Miami at home, and I don't want any part of Miami at home getting the best road team on a 7-game win streak coming in.
Yeah, this would have been Knicks or nobody. Not many places opened this game in the early afternoon, and then everybody took it off the board with Jimmy Butler now being questionable. He came out of the game last night. Butler never came back after with 10 minutes left of the game. Just keep in mind that game was a blowout last night. So we'll have to see if Butler's going to play. With Philly ahead 20, they didn't bring Butler back. But as Ben said, no team is hot besides the Bucks, as the Knicks are right now. And Knicks, best road team. Heat, worst road team. Knicks, best road team. Heat, worst home team against the spread. All lines up for the Knicks. We'll have to see Butler's status and what that line comes back on the board tomorrow.
Yeah, a weird little schedule coming up for the Heat after this as well. They just had a 2-game set with Philly. Now they get the Knicks. Then they have a 2-game set with Atlanta, and then a 2-game set with the Cavs. So obviously the NBA has been doing a lot more of those 2-game series, but just interesting that they have about 3 of those in the same spot of the schedule against all pretty competitive Eastern Conference teams. Next one, John, Jazz Thunder. I know we talked about this before we hopped on. To me, it's similar.
Just to give you an update, I know we talked about it, but Clarkson is out. He's gonna miss tomorrow.
Okay, so that does swing my feelings a little bit, but my lean here would still be to Utah. And similar mindset to what we have going on with Portland, just as far as the rest factor and the traveling. This Utah team, they are now going to be on just their 4th game after the All-Star break. There's going to be OKC's 6th game after the All-Star break. Obviously, this whole game depends on SGA. If SGA is in, this changes my read. But assuming that he is still out here for the Thunder, I would like this spot for the Jazz. Still waiting for numbers to come up on that because of his injury. It's like an injury COVID issue. And Jazz have won the last 8 meetings. Now, they're not covering, just 3-4-1 against the spread. So OKC's actually covered more in the matchup in those 8, but Jazz have won 8 straight. And with Clarkson out, maybe this number will be low enough with the spot there. OKC just has not looked good here since the All-Star break. What is it now? They've lost 4 in a row, 5 in a row. So 2 top scoring teams can maybe be an over. Could be a bunch of young teams running around, putting up a lot of points. But my lean here with the lack of rest there for OKC, just 2 more games in a short span, a little over a week. So would lean here to the Jazz, John.
Jazz got their own problems, though. You already got
Absolutely.
Sexton out, and now Clarkson's going to be out, and they looked awful in the last game with both Sexton and Clarkson out, allowing San Antonio to break that 16-game losing streak. So while OKC, we talked about this also yesterday, OKC's at that part of the year where it's time to tank. They've won enough games for the year. So I don't want nothing to do with them. As you said, SGA out. And Kenrick Williams, he just underwent surgery today. He'll miss the rest of the season. He comes off the bench or starts as a spot starter for OKC. He's a solid player. That's 2 more guys off the squad. Again, no lineup. So without a line on the game, without knowing if SGA is going to play, very tough to give you my feelings. Just going to be tough, like I said, to like Utah without their starting backcourt. Getting beat by San Antonio at home in their last game without that backcourt makes it very tough for me to back them anywhere, even with their history against OKC.
Yeah, and how to beat the bookie members know you guys will be getting that information as far as when there's any injuries. And any of these injuries we talk about, for those of you guys who are members, if you guys do download the app, you guys will get access to be able to have all this information, injury updates all throughout the day.
What I do want to say is a good time to break in. If you're how to beat the bookie member, you see we're putting in our new feature of updates, injury updates. Now we're trying to refine it. So we're taking tweets, actual tweets, and sending them out through our system. So I'm trying to get to where it's just players that are affecting the game instead of bang, 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 bang all day long. Who's questionable, who's doubtful, who might play. And just give it to you guys, for the guys that are going to affect the line. Joel Embiid's going to be in or out. Anthony Davis in or out. Guys like that. So bear with us as we perfect the system. But this is going to be, again, if you're not a how to beat the bookie member, literally you'll get this service up to the minute. Up to the minute injuries. Our injuries are coming that quickly. Soon as they're out, soon as the NBA knows, we know. It's whatever that lag time, 30 seconds or so is to get it out. You guys got it. Quickest injuries around. Where sometimes we beat down best, sometimes we're 10 seconds behind them. My exclusive home and away ratings, guys, do not miss out on my ratings. These are not ratings like ESPN, fake ratings saying this team's better than this team. These are ratings that you can actually make the line. You take the home team's points, what their rating is, subtract it from the away team, you get the difference, and that's what your number is. For a quick example, go to today's game, get the LA Clippers, they're at 38.0 on the road. The Golden State Warriors are at 34.6 at home. Obviously, that's with Curry and Wiggins out. That number is 3.4, meaning the Clippers are 3.4 points better than the Warriors. That's our base number. Now we put in Warriors were home, so they had no travel. Clippers have had a little bit of a rougher schedule, a couple of overtime games, including the double OT with Sacramento. The questionability of two starters, Zubac and Morris. Clippers won the last meeting, a 10-point win, Valentine's Day in LA. You add up all those things, and that's what gives us the lead to Golden State. We can see exactly where the numbers. Take the home rating, subtract the road rating, and you get a number that's your base number. There are no better numbers out there anywhere. We give you a preview every game, not just the games I bet. Preview on every game. And obviously, our bets, which sometimes, as proven yesterday, we're giving you bets. A day and a half, Ben. Anybody you know give a bet a day and a half? And this is, guys, this was why I'm a pro. Understand? I'm not watching what other sharp guys are betting when I can make my bet. I'm betting before they make the bet and giving you the best chance to beat the number.
All right, John. So this next game is Suns Bulls. Before we get into that a little bit, we get our first look at Kevin Durant with the Suns. Very productive, 23 points, 10 to 15 shooting. And Devin Booker, he got 37. And this is where Kevin Durant is at his best. Don't get me wrong. He is one of the best players in the league, best talents of all time. But when he's just in a system where he just scores, gets his spots, gets his opportunity, doesn't have to force anything, it's just beautiful basketball. That's basketball at its finest. Suns team's going to be scary. And I'm not going to get carried away. One game, it's the Hornets, but just very first game to see him shooting that efficiently with Booker shooting that efficiently, going to be a scoring problem there in Phoenix. Interested to see your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, it came real easy. Granted, it was the Charlotte Hornets, but that's a good way to break in. Almost like playing an exhibition game before you get to the regular season. Big number. 6 points on the road, big number in Chicago. Even with KD there, Chicago's played good basketball at home. The first two games coming off the All-Star break, they absolutely buried the Nets that we had talked about. Let's see how they do tomorrow. Phoenix has actually owned this series, winning the last 6, 4-2 against the spread. They beat them earlier this year in Phoenix, 132, 113. But 6 points is a big number. But looking at that team, if we're talking big picture, that was an easy 10 for 15 KD last night. It opened up Booker more. It opened up the entire floor more. They're a problem. This was only their first game. Again, like I said, granted it was Charlotte. In one game, well, I didn't know if it would go this well. It looks real good. Phoenix now, to me, front runner with Denver in the West.
Absolutely. And back on the theme of look-aheads, I mean, this is as good of a look-ahead as it gets for the Suns. They go to Dallas next. So you have the playoff history with last year. You have all the beef they had last year. Dallas bowls them out in 7-game series. You have Kevin Durant's best friend, Kyrie Irving, over now with the Mavs. So a lot of angst in this matchup here, Suns and Mavs, and they go at Dallas on Sunday. So back
I'll be honest with you, even more than that, what I got. We got a good laugh this morning. I was looking at the standings, and you've got Phoenix presently in 4th, Golden State presently in 5th. So if the season ended today, just picture that matchup. KD going back against Golden State, Curry, Dre. Almost like it's a story too good to be true.
Absolutely. So with that look ahead, I would want no part in Phoenix. I agree with you. It is a bit big of a number there, even though they do own the matchup. But just going to be interesting to see how much the books maybe overvalue the Suns out the gates here early on with Kevin Durant there. We'll see how those lines start to shape up. Going to be seeing a lot of double-digit home favorites with them down the stretch of the season. This next one, John, just those Western Conference teams are just mentioning, Grizzlies at Denver. Very interesting matchup here, 1 and 2 seeds. You have this Memphis team who's coming off the win at Houston. They had lost their 8 prior road games. Denver, who is the best home team in the NBA, both straight up and against the spread, 28-4 straight up, 21-10-1 against the spread. Just as a season read with Denver, anytime they're getting these top tier teams at home, you're just getting a cheaper Denver home price compared to laying these double-digit favorite lines. So anytime I can get Denver at a cheaper favorite home price, I'm all about it. 28-4 straight up. They're taking care of business. So my lean on this game is the Nuggets.
Absolutely Nuggets. I didn't want to lay more than 5. So I'm hoping we talk about it a lot if you're How to Beat the Bookie member, if you've been watching us on Instagram. Talk about the shops, how they come in on the overnight and they manipulate the line. So we're hoping for a little bit of a phony, push Denver back in, and I would lay Denver -5. Bad, tough spot, Memphis. 3rd game in 4 nights. They've been horrible on the road this year. Denver, best home team. Denver just lost at Memphis. Memphis put it on them a little bit. Denver gets revenge tonight, tomorrow night. But I'm looking to lay 5 on that game.
We'll see where that line goes. And yeah, like you mentioned with Denver, I forgot to mention also with Steven Adams still being out, obviously, that's just a matchup. You obviously want all the big bodies you can have on your roster. Obviously, it didn't matter when they were at Memphis, but just Denver, one of the big teams, home and away splits. These next couple of games, guys, we do have back-to-backs involved. So first one, Clippers-Kings. We've talked about it already with the Clippers, a little bit of a look-ahead spot here. Just tough scheduling. They have the double OT game. Tough to get a read on them, who's going to be playing in this matchup for them. The road team has actually now won, 4 of the last 5 meetings. Clippers have won the last 2 trips to Sacramento. I would have a slight lean to the Clippers here, depending on how tonight's game goes and depending on who's in the lineup tomorrow. But without knowing any of that, tough to get a real feel for it. So Kings are playing good basketball. They have won 4 straight here since the All-Star break.
Yeah, tough to get a read, like you said, but what we can get a read, you can almost guarantee Kawhi's not going to play back-to-back. Clippers playing tonight at Golden State. Sack has been playing good basketball. Fox missed the last game. He did practice today. Put him on the right side, questionable. I would expect him to be back for tomorrow's game. Clippers, again, this part of the season, no telling on a back-to-back. If they have a tough game tonight, let's say it goes to overtime, who knows? Maybe they said PG and Kawhi. Can't make those decisions on these back-to-backs, not in today's NBA, until we see tonight's game. No line on the game, no knowledge of who's playing for Clippers tomorrow. We'll have a better idea by seeing who sits tonight. If Zubac and Morris sit tonight, which I believe is the plan, and then they'll have Kawhi, maybe somebody else off tomorrow. Just can't like the Clippers ahead of time in a back-to-back because you know they're going to rest some people.
Absolutely. And Pelicans, Warriors, another one of those teams that typically sits on back-to-backs. We'll see who they sit as well. Klay Thompson has been playing a bit more on back-to-backs, though, so we'll see if that continues. And as far as to the Warriors sitting guys on back-to-backs, the 2 times they played at New Orleans this year, they rested everybody: Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond. So we'll see who shows up for this game tomorrow. I'm assuming Klay is going to continue playing back-to-backs. We'll see. Warriors are at the point in the season. They need wins. We'll see what's going on there. Pelicans coming off the win against Portland. This is going to be the second game of a 3-game trip. Their next game is going to be at Sacramento as well, just doing that Northern California 2-game trip. Would have a lean here to Golden State, not knowing what's going on tonight, not knowing line, just based on the 2 blowouts they had to deal with earlier this season where they rested everybody. So have to know who's playing for the Warriors. Tough to get a full read on it, though.
Only thing that makes this game a little bit more different for Golden State is because there's no travel involved. So they've been home since the All-Star break. This will be another home game tomorrow. No travel. Klay has played in the last 2 back-to-backs. Again, you got to see what happens tonight. You get a game that goes into overtime. It's a war. Klay sees 40 minutes. Maybe he doesn't play. Got to see how the game goes tonight. But Golden State, wants to give it back to the Pelicans. The last game at New Orleans, Pelicans give it to them by 45 points. So if Golden State has their guys back tomorrow, I think they'll look to give it to the Pels. But again, we'll see who's available. Also, remember, Valanciunas did sit out the last game last night in Portland. We'll have to see if he's available. That's a big body for them. Again, all about the injuries, guys. No line on this game. Don't know who's playing. Give you better info tomorrow. That's why you should be How to Beat the Bookie member.
This last game is T-Wolves at the Lakers. They're coming off the win against the Clippers at LA, snapped a 3-game skid. You have this Lakers team who's been playing pretty well since the deadline, 5-2. They get the win at OKC without Davis, no LeBron, no Russell. It's a win they would not have gotten, I don't think, earlier this season with how shallow the roster is. So the role piece is definitely a step up. But I got to lean to the Minnesota Timberwolves in this game. And they've won 4 of the last 5 meetings, 5-0 against the spread. Russell and LeBron still going to remain out. Anthony Davis will be playing, but we'll see if Minnesota can steal 2 games here in LA. They've had a couple of days off. Would lean to the Wolves. And just don't want any part of this Lakers team while they don't have Russell or LeBron. It's just the playmaking scares me a little bit. I was impressed, though, what we saw with them against OKC.
Yeah, we're going to see how Timberwolves, if Timberwolves are serious, they'll win tomorrow. They've been stuck in LA for 2 days since they beat the Clippers. Have they been in LA partying?
Yeah.
That'll tell me what they're all about. Lakers coming back, 4th game in 6 nights, 4th city in 6 days. Return home, shorthanded. Not only, first of all, that LeBron's now not going to be reevaluated for 3 weeks. That's got to be a blow to the whole team. Look, just when it looked like they turned things around and we're going to be a playoff contender, with LeBron out for the next 3 weeks, Russell, like you said, is going to miss. Not only that, Schroeder got injured in the last game. He toughed it out the whole game. Got to make sure he's going to be okay to play. They don't. I don't know. They might be calling you up, Ben, to handle the ball. So yeah, Lakers are in a tough spot tomorrow. They will get AD back, without LeBron, without Russell, and let's see how Schroeder played great. Don't get me wrong, toughed it out. 2 guys that really toughed it out last night, Schroeder and Mitchell for Cleveland. He tweaked the groin, refused to come out of the game because he didn't want to sit on the bench and let it freeze up. He kept it warm, kept playing. He played a monster game. Schroeder played a good game. The reason they were able to beat OKC. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, Timberwolves have won 4 of the last 5 meetings with the Lakers. Stuck in LA for a couple of days. Do they want to be a playoff team? Or if they've been partying in LA, we'll get to see how that one goes. Definitely don't want the Lakers, though, in this spot. Bad break. I think this LeBron injury is going to cost them their shot. I mean, maybe they make that play-in seed just because Portland looks like they're toast. OKC looks like they don't want any part of it. Got to see what's going to go on with Utah. So they might be able to make one of those play-in spots. But I think that's just going to about kiss their chances away to get into that top 6 seed.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is going to have to get back to form the way he was looking prior to the injury at the start of the season, and we'll see if he's able to do that to give him an actual star power threat. John, team that's not playing tomorrow, but got to talk about them. We touched on it a little bit yesterday with that game against Orlando, but Milwaukee Bucks, 15 straight, or was it 16 straight?
16.
Just keep going, keep winning. Longest streak this season. They pick up Crowder at the deadline. I mean, Chris Middleton isn't even fully 100%. He's been playing at minute restrictions pretty much. If he gets back to form, I mean, Drew Holiday's playing better than he did last year. Brook Lopez is playing better than he did last year. Bobby Portis in the same boat. Giannis is just doing what Giannis does. Bucks starting to look like the team to beat in my eyes. Is that what you're seeing?
You know what? I can't disagree with you. It just looks like Celtics have had their number a little bit. They did get the break with Middleton missing playoffs though last year. But just look at the Bucks box score the last couple of days, both against Orlando and the Nets the game before that. Giannis didn't even play 30 minutes in either game, and they're just absolutely burying teams. As a matter of fact, last night, none of the starters played 30 minutes, and they put a $139 on. They're dangerous. They play defense. They're scoring the ball. Right now, yeah, they look like the best team. And hey, 16 wins, 11-5 against the spread, says they are. They've taken over first place from the Celtics. That home court going to be huge in this year's playoffs.
Absolutely huge. And yeah, like you said, Boston did get him last year in the 7-game set. No Middleton. I think Crowder is just a huge pickup defensively for that series to match up with Boston, all the wing strength they have. So we'll see what it comes down to. But I definitely agree with you. It's Bucks, or I think it's Bucks team to beat in the whole NBA right now. Western Conference, we touched on it a little bit with Phoenix getting Durant. Obviously, just one game, can't overreact, but definitely puts them in that threat now with Denver. What are your thoughts on Denver? I mean, they're definitely the deepest they've been and the healthiest they've been the last couple of years. But
if they stay healthy, that's the thought. You know what Joker is? He's a walking triple-double. The center that's a walking triple-double. Can Murray continue to play, and Porter? Can they give you Murray had another good game the other night. Can he stay healthy? He's missed some time. They're using the injury management to keep him healthy for the playoffs. If he's healthy, they're dangerous. As far as I'm concerned, it's Denver, Phoenix, your top two. Golden State gets healthy. Steph comes back. They're in there also. They're
Absolutely.
just a level below. Clippers, man, I thought with the moves that they made with Kawhi getting healthier each game that they were going to be threatening. But so far since the All-Star break, lose some tough games. They've got to show me more. As far as the East, I think it's clear cut. It's Boston and Milwaukee. And then you've got your also-rans. I'll put Philly in there. I'll put Cleveland in there. And I'm going to put the Knicks in there right now.
Have to keep it up, yeah.
Hot. Best road team against the spread. Doing it with defense, scoring the ball. Shot over 60% last night. Brunson went 15 for 18 from the line. I mean, those are video game numbers. I believe they shot 57% from three. So I'm going to put the Knicks, Cavs, Philly in that next tier. But it's clearly Bucks and Celtics. Everybody else, West, Nuggets, Phoenix, Memphis is in there with Golden State, just in that next level. They looked so good in the beginning of the year. They can't win on the road. You've got to be able to win on the road. If you're not the number one seed, you've got to be able to win some road games. So with that being said, give me a team could win on the road. Phoenix hasn't done it this year, but they've been a mess. Booker was out. They've been injured. You got to remember last year, Phoenix not only had the best record, they had the best road record. They know how to win on the road. They went 32-9 last year on the road. You throw in KD. Again, it's all about health. How healthy, who's healthy, when the playoffs come. KD looks great. Could be tomorrow, and he's out for the rest of the season. Just look at LeBron and the Lakers. Just when it looked like, hey, they could play with anybody. LeBron, AD, Russell, Beasley from the wing, and boom, LeBron and Russell are out. And now they're back to being and also ran a dog at home to T-Wolves tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how quick things change in the NBA. You're an injury away from being a top team to being knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, with Denver, I don't know if I'm ready to believe come postseason time they're going to be as scary as they are in the regular season. I mean, just looking back at them the last couple of years throughout the playoffs, they haven't really been that big of a threat. Granted, a lot of it's been health-wise. Michael Porter and Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon's playing his best he's played. So this is the deepest and healthiest they've looked. But also with Jokic, I mean, we haven't really seen him be as dominant in the postseason. Part of that's a load he's had to carry, a little bit of a less of a load this season. I don't know. A team like Golden State, who hasn't been healthy yet, if they can get healthy by the postseason, that experience, I think, means the world to them in that series and just any matchup there. So not sure I'm completely sold on Denver being the team to come out of the West. Just haven't seen them turn it up a notch in the postseason yet.
I like Denver. I believe there's 3 teams right now from the West that are better than 500 on the road. Obviously, Denver, one of them. Clippers is the other. And Sacramento actually has the best road record of any Western Conference team. Sacramento, not a team we talked about, because although they have the lead in the Pacific division right now and are presently a 3 seed, just don't see them being there come playoff time. They're not one of the top teams. They're a good team. The trade for Sabonis last year has taken them to that next level. But that next level is not finals, Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it's a great pickup there, and they're just too inexperienced. I mean, I think I mentioned this on one of the episodes before. I think they're on a similar trek to what Memphis was last season. A lot of youth, definitely a lot of promising signs for the next 5-10 years. But once it gets to postseason time, those teams with the experience, the vets, I mean, Golden State, Denver, Phoenix, they just don't stand a chance against matchups like that, I don't think.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. So, like I said, it was only one game last night. It was against Charlotte. But that KD Booker combo, that looks real good. We'll see more about them tomorrow. We got a nice little test at Chicago. Like I said, Chicago's a good home team. Terrible on the road, but a good home team. 6 points. Let's see how that one goes. Let's see in the next few days how Phoenix transitions KD into that lineup. We'll see how that goes. I think KD is going to bring them to the top of that division, top of that conference. So I'm looking, like I said, Denver, Phoenix. Those would be my two top, and the East easy. Just the two top teams. Boston, which has been there all year, and Milwaukee just coming on like gangbusters. Finally healthy. Picked up Crowder at the trade deadline. They're deep. They're strong. Play well on both sides of the ball. Few of the best players to it. Jrue Holiday, Giannis. You get Brook Lopez playing D. You get some good ball players there. Milwaukee looks like the team to beat.
Yeah, I forgot who said it on the Bucks. I don't remember if it was Budenholzer or Holiday. One of the guys, they said that we haven't been beaten at full strength yet, which they haven't. So to be some degrees, they're the team to beat in that regard as well. John, I know the voice is a little strong, so we won't go too long today. We can start to wrap up here a little bit, but baseball season is around the corner. So for those of you guys watching, please comment any questions, topics, anything you guys want us to cover preseason-wise, baseball-wise. Obviously, there's a lot of rule changes, a lot of roster changes, as always, in any offseason, any sport. So anything specific you guys want us to cover preseason baseball, start to put in those questions next couple of episodes, and we'll get on to that. And then obviously NBA coming down the stretch here. We're going to have next couple of months of regular season. John, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch in on here before this weekend here of the NBA action.
Yeah, I want to try and catch a couple of I'm down in Florida. I'll be trying to catch a couple of these preseason games, exhibition games, without going too deep into the rules. As everybody knows, what they basically are doing is trying to get more offense in the games. The game is just it's just two pitcher dominated. So all the rules, whether it's pitch clock, how many times you can throw over to first base, it's all made to get a little more offense in the game. I'm not a total bettor. Don't have to be to tell you totals are going to be higher this year, because if they're trying to get more offense, they're going to get more offense in the game. So there'll be things to watch. Look, taking a pitcher out of his groove is a terrible thing. I mean, I'm not for any of these rule changes. I'm an old school guy. You don't put a guy on second base to start extra innings. I mean, it's just that's not the way the game's been played for a fucking 100 years. Nope. So seeing all this new stuff, telling the pitcher he's got to pitch by a certain amount, getting a batter in the box before he's ready, I get it. I get the game's too long to be a marketable thing for baseball. But this is the game. You can't get a batter in the box if he's not ready. If he gets something in my eye and I'm taking it out of my eye, I got to get in the box with the 8 seconds left. I've seen an exhibition game where they call the guy out with bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth inning. So, I mean, this can't be the way the game's played. So that being said, it's also, if a pitcher is in a routine, he's in a routine. Holding the ball sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, so the runner on first doesn't get a good jump on you. It's part of the game. So if he sees the clock starting to wind down, he knows he can start to steal. You know, it's just a lot of stuff. We'll talk more about it. But again, it's all geared for more offense, so expect more offense.
Yeah, I'm excited for the shift change. I think two guys on either side of second base. I think it was Carlos Correa who made the statement. He was talking about how he, as a middle infielder, likes it and makes their job more important as far as bringing back defense to the shortstop position, bringing back the range. You have to cover up the middle, get into the gaps, test your arm strength. A lot less of just, infielders being placed where they have to cover 4 or 5 feet to their left and right in a shift. So that'll be interesting, and that will open up more offense, but will be a bit more flashier defense. It's going to really bring to also just, in the middle infield defense, the range. That's going to be a big factor as well as from these teams. I think it was Texas, right, with, Seager and Simeon, what they did, re-upping that middle infield last offseason. Obviously, what San Diego's done, just these teams, that middle infield defense is going to start to be an important factor again.
like you said, it's I'm an old school guy. I didn't believe I'm putting 4 guys on one side of the infield either, because if you're a major league hitter, drop the ball down the other way. You know what I mean? I taught 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, and they were able to do that. So major leaguers should be able to do that. So if you're a pull hitter, you'll learn how to hit the other way. Put the fielders where you want to put them and let the batters adjust. So I don't believe in that rule either, saying you've got to put a certain amount of people on this side. I don't agree with any of the rules. Baseball's been a game that's played one way for 100 years. Football is a different thing. You need rule changes for players' safety, that type of stuff. I don't believe in changing the rules on a game. You know, NBA, when they went to the three-point line years ago, I mean, ABA had that. For you guys that don't even know what the ABA is, that was a few teams. The Nets were an ABA team. The Spurs, believe it or not, the Pacers, these teams used to play in the ABA. They joined with the NBA when we go way back. But they played with a three-point line. They brought it into the NBA. It made for more offense, more exciting game. I'm fine with that. But to alter, you can't play on this side of the infield. You got to throw the ball in this amount of seconds. You can't throw over the first this many times. You're changing the game. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
Yeah, to your point about player safety, I think the only rule that they changed was for player safety was the base size. Now it's, whatever it is, an extra 18 inches, whatever it is. So, I mean, we'll see how often that comes into a factor. Maybe more stolen bases because of that. When you added the pitch
remember
clock.
What they call baseball, a game of inches. Okay,
absolutely.
Those couple of inches. You know how many guys are going to be safe stealing second or third just because of those couple of inches? Think of how many bang plays are made at second base. Those couple of inches closer. Remember, a couple inches from first, couple inches going to second. You got close to a half a foot. That's a big difference.
Huge difference. But as you guys know, MLB still a few weeks away, so we'll get in more coverage of that. Maybe at some point we'll talk a little bit about some of those World Baseball Classic rosters just for shits and giggles. Nothing too crazy, nothing we're going to be betting on, but obviously a lot of MLB talent in that as well. That starts next week. John, anything else here? A lot going on NBA, obviously. We have a big weekend coming up, some fun matchups, Suns, Mavs. We have the Bucks and Sixers, so fun matchups coming up this weekend.
Yep. Hey, we already sent out a love bet for tomorrow. If you're happy to bookie member, you literally got that last night. We did that during the show as the lines were moving. Just love that game tomorrow. A couple other games I got my eye on for tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. Like I said, we're always ahead of time. Games, I've talked about a lot of times. I've got a circle on this game. So you get games, like I said, when the Pelicans beat Golden State for the second time this year in New Orleans, when Golden State sat all their starters, they beat them by 45. So I've literally had a circle for the game tomorrow, Pelicans at Golden State, since that beatdown. That was back in November. Now it depends on how tough a game Golden State plays tonight, who they're going to play tomorrow, what the line comes up. But these are one of the games that players keep in the back of their mind. To get beat by 45, we're an NBA team. We get beat by 45. We're last year's world champions. Yeah. So it's a kind of game that sticks in their craw. Home revenge we talk about a lot, because if you think revenge is big, you never want to get whooped like that on your home court. And which game do I have circled for tomorrow on that one? That one I'm going to have to let you guys know about, but it's actually not tomorrow. It's this weekend. So like I said, we're already looking at the schedule ahead of time, sometimes literally months ahead of time. In the case of what Ben's talking about, Phoenix has Dallas next after the Chicago game. We put a circle around the opening day game for this year's Phoenix-Dallas game right after Game 7 last year. Yep. The way Dallas went into Phoenix and put a beat down on them. So that's how it goes. Good news for us. Just watching the Clipper game go down to 3 in some spots right now. We sent out +4 today. So let's hope we get that one, Ben.
Yep. Hopefully that number keeps dropping. And as you guys know, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow on Instagram. If you guys aren't a member, go check it out. Download the How to Beat the Bookie app. That website link is below. If you guys want to check out the website, I believe the app link will be below as well. So make sure you guys go check that out. Other than that, John, hey, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.